Good day. This is the second stream. This is Thumbs United. This is the second stream for working on our Sleeping Spring series. Let me get Lightroom up. And let's get to work. Get back to work. Number 1. Okay, here we go. Let me get comfortable. So we're going to start off how we did before. A lot of these photos are the same kind of, I think, just color scheme of brown, but a lot similar in exposure and everything. And they kind of are of all the same subject type. So we're just going to get our general settings on the way kind of as loose as we can. And this black point is raised a little bit too far. So I am trying to make it look a little bit like it's shot on film and get rid of some of the digital kind of compression. It is in RAW, so there's minimal compression, but still. And I'm going to brighten it still a little bit more. And I think that's it. Like I said, we're going to make it a little bit more generic in the curves. There we go. And let's see how it looks. Ooh, no, that's not good. So we're just going to leave it as shot. I shot it with the color balance of cloudy, because it looks like this is, you know, kind of deep dark forest. But there's actually a lot of space between the trees and everything, and so it was mostly cloudy overhead when I was shooting this. So that's why I chose to shoot with the white balance of cloudy. Okay, so now we're going to select all the photographs and we're going to apply the settings we just made. From this photograph, and that's why I'm saying it needed to be generic. And I'm just going to go through and apply those settings to all the other photographs. And then what we're going to do is we are going to fine-tune everything. Because like I said, we were keeping the settings kind of loose and not tuned to a specific photograph. But now we're going to do that. So we're going to start off with the first one, where we are going to make it a little darker. There we go. And so this is going to be much faster. It's pretty much like just like 2 or 3 things I have to fine tune. But yeah, like I said. So I'm hoping to get this done tonight. And then tomorrow I think we'll do Forza Horizon 2. We've been having a lot of fun with that game offline. And then Wednesday we should be switching over to video editing for this project. But offline I will be editing, I'll be creating the photo book, which is why there's such that's my dog. That's why there's such urgency to getting these photographs done. And that snow is like really bright, kind of uncanny. So we're going to no, that doesn't even work. We'll just leave it way overexposed to snow. And we're gonna leave it there because I'll probably animate over it like that. Because it's horizontal, I'll only focus on like the top 2/3. So we may never see that overexposed snow. Yeah, like I said, I want to get this done, and then we'll start working on the video project Wednesday. I'm hoping, I'm doing a lot more animation, like actual 3D rendering and everything, and it's going well, but I do it in bursts because I'll animate, well, I'll create, I'm creating renders, not so much animation. That's just, it's like photographs, but with 3D environment and everything. So like, it's as though I was working with, you know, Pixar films or something. But instead of it being a movie, it's just one still. And so I will create about like between 45 and 70 images or frames. Like I said, there's no motion, so it's just, you know, one frame is one photograph. But it takes a really long time to render. So I just finished the last batch, which was 72 images. And I gave it to the computer to render last month. And so what the computer is my sister's MacBook Pro from 2011. It's an i5 processor. It had this weird problem with the motherboard where all of a sudden the SATA port doesn't work, and the SATA is what the hard drive, the internal hard drive, is connected to. So it didn't matter what hard drive I put in her laptop, it just didn't work. So she gave it to me. And what I have is I have a USB dock I'm sorry, I'm not speaking too well, but it's a hot swappable bay for SATA drives, but you can connect either through eSATA or USB. So I have an old solid state hard drive that it's a 32 gigabyte solid state drive, but only 10 gigabytes of the 32 gigs works. And so so I had to partition that correctly, and then I put Linux on the solid state hard drive, and the Mac boots into Linux through the USB, and then I have another USB drive, which is what I use to do the renderings. So it actually renders on that. So the reason why I don't render on the solid state hard drive is because it's really finicky and it locks up sometimes. And so I would lose time having to resubmit rendering and everything. And the other reason is because I have to do it in a batch. So it tries to do 70 images, and they're stereoscopic, so that's actually 140 images. It does the left camera, then it does the right camera. And I'm saving it as uncompressed TIFF at 5K resolution, which is about I think it's 15 megapixels. And so that's a little bit bigger in size. That's about 5 gigs or so. And so when your operating system takes up 8 gigs and you have a 12 gigabyte hard drive, you really don't want to fill it up to the brim, because that's when a lot of mistakes with the hard drive can happen. But so it finished the batch of 72 renders, and so now I have to create a new job for it. And so yesterday I spent all of Sunday just getting free content and creating my own content and everything, ready to more easily create 3D scenes. And that's kind of what I have to do next. I'm going to be doing that offline. I can't stream that live. It takes up too many resources. Yeah, so I have a whole bunch of 3D models, and I have cars. I have this one cool server closet, which was I was kind of nerding out over. So that's kind of what I have planned. That's what I'm hoping to do in the fun time, which I don't have that much, especially today. Tomorrow I have work to catch up on. So we'll see how much I can do tomorrow. I'm trying to work a minimum of 6 hours every day. And it's based on how many tasks I'm able to accomplish. So sometimes it's well, I worked 4 hours, and so I have another project I could start, but it would take me, another 4 hours, and so and I have to work during the daytime. And then it's well, I can't start that other project, save it for tomorrow. And other times it's I had 5 things to do, but I was only able to accomplish 1 in the 6 hours. But I like it. It's nice getting outdoors and doing all that stuff. Music's a little too loud. And it always does that when I get to this song. I'm really happy with how these images are turning out. The last section of photos we edited, it was really cool. The color scheme, like the blue sky, even the trees, the naked trees were really kind of a cooler color. Like they were this off-white. And these are nice because it's like the wood is warmer. There's a lot of moss everywhere. And that's actually part of the other reason why I want to get these books done so much. It's like my sister loves the moss, and so I'm trying to get this book done before her birthday, and then I can give her a print of it, of the book. That's part of the urgency, because the first prints take like 2 to 3 weeks. And I guess the sun came out for that photo. It was a little too warm for me in terms of color. And so these images I was taking with my 50mm lens. It's kind of the standard lens to get is 50mm. What's nice is it's so easy for camera manufacturers to build the 50mm lens that they're very inexpensive. You can get them for like 150 or so, and you can get them used for like $50. And but you can also get it with lenses. They have the speed of the lens or the aperture, and so a fast lens, something with an aperture of like 1.8 or 1.2, it's an f-stop of 1.8 or 1.2, and the lower the aperture number, the more light it lets in, which is kind of always funny explaining that to people because it's kind of the opposite. You think if it was a high number, it would let more light in. But no, the lower the number, the more light it lets in. But then it also changes the depth of field. So things that are close are in focus, but things that are like here, this is in focus, but this is like 2 inches away from this, and that's out of focus. And you look at it, here's 2 or 3 inches away from here, and that's way out of focus. And so that's a photography that's nice because it focuses on the point. You can set the focus to the point of interest, and everything. That's a way you can guide the viewer's eyes to what you want them to view. But the lower the aperture number, the more depth of field you can get, so you can increase that effect. And then what's also nice about the 50mm lenses is they're very good for macro photography, where usually what I do to get my macro shots is I use lens tubes. And so what a lens tube does is that is not right at all. So what a lens tube does is it extends the lens further away from the camera sensor, and it changes the focal point where the lens can focus. And so instead of being able to focus for like anything from 3 feet, and then you can focus to infinity, which is, you know, the farthest away possible. You can only focus between maybe 6 feet and 9 feet. So the only way you can focus on something is if it's in between 6 feet or 9 feet. And not only that, it's enlarged. So everything that's really tiny is, you know, magnified exponentially, because it's essentially turning your lens into a sort of microscope. And so there's different size tubes you can use that it just attaches to the front of your camera just like a regular lens, and then you attach the lens to the tube. And it's a lot of fun. But with this 50mm micro lens, I'm getting a similar effect. It's not as enlarged as it's not as enlarged as if I was using a tube system, but they are very small. This moss that I'm picking up. See, just a sliver of this is in focus. Everything else is slightly out of focus. And when you do that, yeah, everything's blurry around the edges, but it makes you really appreciate, and your eyes kind of notice it, what is in focus. And so even though everything's out of focus except for a small part, your brain says, wow, it's a really crisp image because I'm focusing on one section. Versus a GoPro shot where everything's in focus, and so it doesn't have the same kind of notice of being crisp, because everything is. There's no variety in focus. Just gonna bring the exposure down. I have to move a little faster. And I'm getting a little tired. I did not get to that web development stuff I thought I was gonna do. I ended up going to the grocery store. And then I got Taco Bell. I got those nacho fries, which is like, they're so addicting. They're so good. Do, do. Yeah, I talked in the previous stream like I'm doing so much more physical work now that I'm working at my job again. And then in all my free time, I'm going out to the parks and taking photos and everything. And then in addition to that, I'm doing the live to tape flow, which is I walk around different locations for using a Steadicam system that I built out of PVC, and so that's heavy and you have to walk smoothly and everything, and so I'm getting so much more exercise. And it's nice, because like usually I hate exercise. Everyone talks about how it feels good and it's nice to work out, and I've never had that. And so I think what happened was I started hiking in winter, and then I started shooting a different project which involved a lot of hiking and carrying backpacks and everything. But that kind of transitioned to once, winter went away, then I started working outside more. And so I've been building up my endurance levels, kind of quickly, but still gradually. And so now I'm just, I'm a machine. I can go around, lifting stuff for like, 4 or 8 hours a day. And so like, yeah, I still get sore, but it's like my body's gotten used to not being regular, I guess. Like I'm always in a state of soreness now. And I was like, that's okay. Like my muscles recover a little bit and stuff, but I finally gotten to the point where it's like, okay, this is what everyone talks about when they talk about, exercising, feels better, and I feel, a lot better. I feel less anxious. I wake up excited to start the day. I'm like, yes, I have things to do. It's just I don't need as much sleep. Part of that is my blood pressure medicine. But like I only need like 7 or 8 hours, where before, when I was having the blood pressure problems, I needed 12 to 13 hours of sleep. And like even then I was super tired. But now it's completely different. Completely. Do. Some of these are so close to being okay. Okay. And that was my dog sneezing. And so a lot of them, because I did the general settings first, I have to really change the exposure. A lot of them need to be, the exposure needs to be taken down, but these ones needs to be taken up a little bit. I'm actually gonna take this down a little bit, get more definition out of the highlights. Same with this one. And down we go. And on the last leaves, these leaves survived all of winter, which was pretty extreme this year. And they're still hanging on. It snowed the day before yesterday, and the snow was still on the ground today. It was like, that's crazy weather. So we're close to halfway done. One's really overexposed. You have the blades of grass. This is my dog. Scaring me to death. Took several pictures of this jungle gym. And at the time I thought, oh, the colors would be cool. They kinda are, but... I'm back. And yeah, let's get back to work. We're over halfway done. Thank goodness. I do like these photos, but I'm getting tired and sleepy. I had kind of a rough weekend. Not rough, but I'm trying real hard to keep my sleep schedule very strict. And so I did have a day where I stayed up pretty late, accidentally. And then even yesterday I've stayed up a little too late. But I'm going back to normal soon. I stayed up till 3 that first night. And then the second night I just had so much to do that I stayed up because I was like, I'll have to finish it now. Which I'm trying to get better at. I'm just learning when to stop. And I just realized like it would be better to continue the work tomorrow instead of staying up until 4 in the morning. And I had this cool fireplace, a lot of interesting things. And this is ash from the fires that were in this fireplace. You have the Deathly Hallows. So we're going to the last section of the park. And this took a long time to film because I was doing video and photos. And I was also doing VR and 3D photos. Just two separate things. I was using 4 different cameras. They're all like strangling me. Hey, Yoit Shova? Is that how you say it? How are you doing? Yeah, if you saw me out here, I had like all these cameras strapped to my neck, and I'm always afraid that if I'm carrying all the cameras, something's gonna catch and I'm gonna accidentally strangle myself. And then that's the other funny thing too, is like everyone, when I hear them, when people are like, oh, I want to travel, but when I go places, I want to look how, people look, that are from those locations, and, I don't want to look like a tourist. And it's like, you're gonna look like a tourist. The recovery, I can show you. It changes, well, this photo is not good to show. But like, things that are too bright, it will automatically bring them down. So I'm doing it with exposure, but if the sky was like pure white, you would bring up the recovery, and it brings everything that's too white or too bright down. And so that's what it does. So I just have it on full because it's difficult to see, but the leaves reflect a lot of the light. So I have the recovery on full to take out the leaves. No, it's not the depth of field. It's how bright. It's brightness. It's overexposed things. See, like, here's an area that the recovery kind of helps. Like, you can see here, like, everything is too bright. And that's mostly because I wanted to get the tree exposed well. So then I bring up the recovery, and it takes away the sections that were too bright for the camera to see. So it kind of tones them down. And then it kind of makes the image, the colors and everything kind of compresses down, and it's easier to edit. We are like 3/4 of the way done. Three-fourths. Yeah, this is at Richville County Park. It's in Michigan, and it's cool because, one, it's kind of unusual where it's a wooded area, but the trees are spaced out really far between each other, which is unusual for Michigan. In elementary school and everything, they teach you like, oh, Michigan used to be completely covered in trees. A squirrel could go from Michigan to Canada without ever having to touch the ground. That's the stuff they used to teach us. And yeah, so it's kind of unusual that there's this much space between the trees. Michigan is like really thick. It's either city or huge forest, And if it's not any of those two, it's a lake. And like, there are a lot of lakes. But this section of the park is where it starts to get interesting. Pretty soon we're going to be going down the stone steps, which are interesting from a photo perspective. And I met this really nice guy, and like I know about this stone architecture that they installed, but he was like, "Oh, there's a secret path further down," and he was like, "The steps are thinner, but it looks better." And he was telling me how his daughters had their senior portraits there and everything. And I was like, "Oh, I'll go check it out." It was kind of funny because I'm walking beneath. There's this hill, and so he was walking on the top after he told me that, and then I was walking beneath, and so we were kind of like walking parallel to each other. And I was like, "Uh-oh, he's gonna know if I don't go, check out what he told me about." And I was like, that would be awkward. Awkward. Okay, so we're going down the steps. I don't know why, but my dogs are a little grumpy. They were like fine and sleeping in my office with me. And then the one was like, "Let me out now." And so I let her out. Outside. She's just barking at the world. Like, everyone. He's like, "Rah, I'm outside." And I was like, it's funny because she's just been relaxing all day. But she has something on her mind. And she wants to tell the world. And we're almost done. Just taking photos of those eddies in the water. And we're almost done. Success. Success. And then I'm just gonna upload these, back them up. Oh, I guess we're not almost done. I don't know why I thought we were closer to being done. Okay, so here are the steps. They were cool because they were really covered in moss and everything. So I was able to get a lot of interesting macro shots. There's a difference between macro photography and micro photography. Micro is like microscopic. Macro is just like really small, like blades of grass, but not to the point of being microscopic. You're not taking pictures of cells or a single blade of hair. And we went back to the beginning. I want to thank everyone for coming out. Let me see who I'm going to host. We are going to host Slow Burn Studio. So I want to Slow Burn Studio's not on right now. Let's see who else I can host. Well, I don't see anyone doing creative. A lot of people doing ASMR. But I will host. Everyone I want to host is offline. Okay, well, I'll just go offline. Thanks for coming by. I will see everyone tomorrow. I believe I'll be doing Forza Horizon 2. Oh, thanks for coming by, and I'll see everyone tomorrow.